Committee of ARSD College, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor R.K. Singh, Head and Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Business, Delhi School of Economics, to the 12th and the last day of our 2-week refresher course on the quintessential educator, challenges and opportunities in the changing world. उत्कृष्ट शिक्षक, बदलती दुनिया में चुनौतियां और अवसर. We are indeed honored to have you with us, sir, and glad that you took out time from your busy schedule to speak in this refresher course. I also seek this opportunity to welcome the principal of our college, Professor Reetesh Kumar Singh, and invite him to welcome the guest.
Thank you, Vinita. नमस्कार रितेश जी.
नमस्कार.
स्वागत है आपका.
शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद.
Honorable Professor Reetesh Kumar Singh, today's speaker for this session, and Dr. Vinita Tuli, coordinator IQAC, and all the participants. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to welcome Professor Reetesh Kumar Singh, head of the Department Commerce, Delhi University, in this refresher course for delivering his lecture on very important topic, online teaching process. In fact, we all have shifted in online mode, virtual mode, from physical to virtual mode due to pandemic and other reasons also. And now the changing scenario of higher education, implementation of new education policy, we are bound to adopt online teaching and blended teaching mode. So it would be a great pleasure for all of us to hear Professor Singh on this topic. So once again, I welcome you, sir, and thank you so much for giving us your valuable time. Thank you. Welcome. Over to Vinita.
Thank you, sir. Professor R.K. Singh is presently Head and Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Business.
The voice is gone.
Voice is not there,
no
sir.
Input voice for me.
Baljeet?
Ravinder,
yeah, now it is fine.
No, sir,
Now it is fine. Yes,
oh, yeah.
It is coming.
There might be some Bluetooth connection with your AirPods.
Okay, could be.
Professor R.K. Singh is presently Head and Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Business, Delhi School of Economics. Academic with rich experience, has made valuable contributions through writings for national and international journals, published by Taylor and Francis, Springer, Emerald, and many more, in the broad domain of managing human resources with focus on effectiveness and spirituality. He has been the editor of Business Analyst, now on editorial board and reviewers panel of international journals like Management Decision, Journal of Organizational Change Management, International Journal of Organizational Analysis, Journal of Applied Research in Higher Education, and many more. In addition to a fusion of qualitative and quantitative, he has more than 30 years of experience, not only in the field of teaching, but also corporate training, consultancy, and administration. He has held various positions of responsibility, including Chairman, Governing Body of Bharati College, University of Delhi, Member Academic Council of Mahatma Gandhi International Hindi Central University, Maharashtra. Presently, Dr. Singh is Member Academic Council of Manav Rachna University, Haryana, and Lucknow University, Uttar Pradesh. In addition to this, Professor Singh is a member of the governing body of the Narsi Monji College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai, and SIES College of Commerce and Economics, Mumbai. As corporate trainer, Dr. Singh has successfully headed various training programs in India's leading organizations like Vedanta, Balco, Forest Research Institute, DRDO, that is the Defense Research Development Organization, Punjab Police, Indian Institute of Public Administration, National Hydropower Corporation, SAIL, the Steel Authority of India Limited, Gas Authority of India Limited, Indian Farmers Fertilizers Cooperative, JK Cement Limited, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay National Academy of Social Security. His contributions as a trainer have been well acknowledged and appreciated. His interventions at corporate have won accolades among HR practitioners. I once again welcome Mr. Singh to speak on the topic online teaching process. Sir.
Thank you, Dr. Thuli, for humbling me, and thanks to Dr. Gyantosh Jha for giving this opportunity to me to be with participants today. I'm delighted to be with participants. And as I'm the speaker of the last day, therefore, I have nothing to share new. I'm sure that things, as you're talking about the quintessential teaching, so many things which I may share with you based on my reflections have already been shared. So nothing big which I'm going to talk about. That is the advantage of being the last speaker. At the same time, the disadvantage that as whatever, if I'm not able to speak since, so I'll say that you have already heard. And if I'm able to make something, then I'll say that, see that how things go. But anyway, thanks to organizers for inviting me today. And I also appreciate the patience of attendees, that they are there on this program since last 2 weeks and listening different speakers. And majority of them are having good teaching experience. And as it happens that in the teaching that after 5 years, we stop listening. So my compliments to all participants that they are here and listening to speakers. और आज पता नहीं 14वां दिन है 13वां दिन है, तो उसके लिए भी आप लोग मौजूद हैं, तो इसका मतलब आपके धैर्य की जो है वो भूरी भूरी प्रशंसा की जानी चाहिए. Very topical theme has been chosen to talk about quintessentials of teaching, and today's agenda what is given to me to talk about online teaching learning process. As we know that this online teaching, it has been mandated during this pandemic time last year. And what I'm going to share with you, it is not based on some big research. It is based on my reflections. Being in teaching since more than 3 decades, and knowing only one way of teaching, that is this place teaching, going physically there in the class, interacting with the students, looking at the dilation of their pupils, and looking at how they go for elbowing their neighbors. And when you are saying something, what kind of reactions are there in terms of their postures and gestures. And on the basis of that, you go for pitching in your interaction with the students. So if I'm trained since last 30 years to do that kind of teaching, one fine day, because of the system, because of the situation necessitated, and we got the mandate that now I have to go for online teaching. So the agony and the pain what I've went through in last 1.5 years, and how I'm in the process of learning how to negotiate the difficult turns of this online teaching learning process. I'm sharing my reflections on that. So I'm not going to talk about any definitive declarative truth about online teaching learning. I'll be only sharing that what is my experience of this online teaching learning, and how things could be leveraged, and how you situate in your context, how you look at your reality. That of course would be very subjective, because I'm not going to talk about the truth. What I have thought that if time permits, I'll be talking about 6 things pertaining to online teaching learning process. I'll be talking about the issues related to this online teaching learning process. I'll be talking about the changing paradigm of online teaching learning process. I'll be looking at the fundamentals. I'll be also touching upon the building blocks of online teaching learning process, what the assumptions are there, and what are the basics, and what could be the visualized solution for this online teaching learning process. About the issues, as we see that online teaching for me and for majority of us, it has come as a directive. And as we were made to switch from off to on line of teaching, we started realizing the pain of being there in offline teaching class, being there in the physical classroom. And someone rightly says that you realize the importance of something when it goes missing. And when something stops behaving the way it was behaving before, and something which was very monotonous, if it stops leaving, if it stops its characteristics of being monotonous, when it leaves, then we start realizing the importance of that. तो शायद 30 सालों में जो मैं प्लेस लर्निंग कर रहा था, वो एक्टिविटी बेस्ड ज़्यादा हो गया था, लेकिन उसके जाने के बाद, उसके हटने के बाद जब ऑनलाइन पे हमें कहा गया, तो the pain which I felt, that what are the challenges there in this online teaching, on the basis of that I have said that we bring something in attention when it goes missing. And when we went for this online teaching learning, I started with Zoom, that free version of Zoom, which was accessible to us for 40 minutes, one session for 40 minutes. Again, you have to log out, and then again you have to log in. So initially, the institution was not having any LMS, any e-learning platform. And we were made to go for it, so that Zoom 40 minutes, Zoom one session, then if you are stretching it, again logging in, logging out, that was bringing a lot of disruption in the flow of the teaching. And gradually in a couple of weeks, when I started searching net, that how to go for this online teaching, I found that huge amount of resources are accessible, which were earlier also there, but were not paying the attention of users like me. And gradually in 1.5 years, I found that the huge light is there, and on this online teaching. And that is also said that good lighting in itself causes true blindness. So accessibility of the materials in the present times of infodemics, so that is also a kind of blindness to a person like me, who is hardly trained in this method of teaching. And this loss of continuity, what was earlier there, I was loss of direction, what was earlier there in my teaching learning, and making me to go for this online, that has made me feel very dwarfish, that even after 30 years, when there is a small change in the medium of the instruction, or the small change in the pattern of delivery, then what kind of the pains which a teacher like me faces. So that what made me to share with you. This online teaching, as you know, that there is a huge quantum of the technology which is involved. And this technology, which is in the present times, is is seen as a real kind of boon, which is facilitating in many ways to our life, be it personal life, be it the professional life, be it academic life, be it corporate life, that the technology is giving us whatever we desire, I believe. And uh, this technology has already gone for giving us the first designer baby. Uh, Up till now, we were thinking that this offspring that would be only within the domains of the humans, but China has given the first designer baby. That is the marvel of the technology, where the physical, digital, and the biological world that is coming closer. And this designer baby, which is the marvel of the example of the tweaking with the genes, with the DNAs, and scientists, the biologists working in the field of genetics and using the technology and the big data in big way, they have gone for tweaking the DNA of that designer baby, who will remain all through his life completely free from diabetes, free from cancer, free from AIDS, free from any kind of cardiac disease, free from any kind of liver disease. So anything and whatever we think of the diseases which are maybe the lifestyle diseases are causing a lot of pressure on the human minds, that the designer baby would be completely free of that. That sounds very good, that we have been able to have the control over the baby before it is born. But at the same time, there are the tech, as nothing comes the free of the vices. Therefore, the technology has its own flip side. And when we are talking about, I'll come to this designer baby's flip side later. As we are talking about the use of the technology in this online teaching learning process, we find that the technology is reducing the shelf life of itself. Whatever technology we are using today, that technology is available to us for a shorter duration of time. There is a research of World Economic Forum, the founder director of World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. The Economic Forum's report is available on its website, weforum.org, weforum.org. You can look at the future of jobs. So in future of jobs, the Schwab and company finds out that this technology has made us to acquire 10 skills, 10 basic skills. And those 10 basic skills are they are clustered into different classes, talking about how to solve the problem. There are 4 clusters there where all those 10 skills are getting fitted in. One is how to solve the problem solving skills. The second is that how to know thyself, knowing yourself. The third is that how to relate with others. And the fourth is how to use the technology. And on the basis of that, 10 skills have been identified by World Economic Forum. And interesting part is that the shelf life of those skills, that research says, is only for 5 years. So what skills we have acquired, those skills will go redundant very fast. Whether it is teaching or use of any technology, it means as a teacher, when with the shortening lifespan of the skills, as a teacher, my job is getting more and more challenged. Even if I know how to use Zoom, how to integrate Zoom in my classroom, this is not going to be the skill for the rest of my life, that for coming 12, 15 years, I would be able to survive. That is very challenging. The other technology issues that universities and the academic institutions, they used to have their complete fiefdom and control, having the elitist approach of creation of the knowledge. But this technology has weakened that. It is good, it is bad also. So that weakening of the technology, that is making facts and figures available and accessible to many. Therefore, apart from the academic institutions, there is another source which is also there in the process of creation of the knowledge. And that the other day before the pandemic, there was one Dean Summit organized by Deloitte. So different the heads of the institutions, they were made to get congregated at Hyderabad, and it was 2 days summit. And there Deloitte, we know that Deloitte is a body corporate which is there into auditing and few other things in financial sector. But all 2 days, to all heads of the academic institutions, Deloitte kept on talking about that what Deloitte is doing in the field of the education. And you see that petroleum has gone for starting its own university. Reliance has started its own university. Steel has started its own university. Recently, railway has started its own university. Earlier, doing research on petroleum, on railways, on steel and other domains, that was the job of the university system. But now this technology and accessibility of the information, that is making others also to join the fray and create a different kind of the narratives in the field of education. The other issue pertaining to the technology is that this personal digital assistants, that is creating a different kind of educational paradigm. What is this personal digital assistant? Simple example is your Alexa, your Google, your Cortana, where you are conversing. They are taking your commands. You are there in your home and you want to get the access of the Harvard website. You need not to go for typing the Harvard website on your the search box. You just speak to Alexa, it will go for opening Harvard's website. Then the other works which are accessible, the resources which are accessible there on the e-platform, one of them is Internet 2 Consortium. Internet 2 Consortium has completely gone for looking at academics in an entirely different way. You visit Internet 2 Consortium and you will find that what this where the education has gone. You look at the another resource available as the peer university, and you find that what I'm talking about myself. I have not been able to see it before till I was not made to go for this online teaching learning. And this technology which is making accessible of lot many things, it is also resulting into polarization of accessibility of information and creating its own class of information poor and information rich. So when we are talking about the issues pertaining to this online teaching learning process and the technology which is making presence everywhere, and technology has started controlling us in the sense that we all are having mobile phones. We use mobile phones basically for making calls and sending and receiving messages through different platforms maybe, but this is not the way through which we use the mobile phone. If you are not finding your ringer on for 1 hour, then some anxiety, it goes for breeding some anxiety. कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि मेरा फोन खराब हो गया है, कि पिछले 1 महीने में मेरा एक बार भी मेरा फोन बजा नहीं, किसी ने जो मुझे फोन नहीं किया, किसी ने मुझे मैसेज नहीं भेजा, and you are very engrossed in making some conversation with your friend who is physically present before you, very engrossed. You are traveling the memory lanes और उसी समय किसी का फोन आ जाता है तो आप क्या अपने दोस्त को अटेंड कर रहे होते हैं, आप उसे कहते हैं एक्सक्यूज मी, और एक्सक्यूज मी कह के फोन अटेंड करना शुरू कर देते हैं. I'm giving this example that this is the phone which is controlling our behavior. And it is not only phone, this is the technology which is controlling our behavior. Technology is making us to think the way technology wants. And there is a good set of research done by Shoshana Zuboff. Shoshana Zuboff, a psychologist from Harvard. She has published a marvel of a research. The title of the book is Surveillance Capitalism. You go through that surveillance capitalism and you will find that where we are. And this technology, which is making us to behave the way technology wants, this has made us to understand that the human skills are commodified. And commodification of that human skills, that is very apparent in terms of the introduction of a mandate in the national education policy and even otherwise, that the student would be allowed to earn credit through MOOCs. It is good. I'm not saying it is bad. But when the MOOCs, the student would be allowed to earn credits through MOOCs, what will happen? If I'm able to deliver something on, let's say, human resource development, I'm able to engage my students and earn my livelihood. And at the same time, I find that somebody from US has floated some MOOCs on that human resource development and is competing with me and is able to make some delivery to students, which they find better than me, then what will happen? That one person sitting there in the US may be able to serve all students or majority of the students is spread all across the globe on that issue. This technology is making us to see, to visualize that the days are of human clouds. Human clouds in the sense that one set of the people, those who would be specialized in their jobs, they would be able to commodify their skills and they will go for scaling up their skills all across the globe, transcending the geographies. This is good, not bad. But at the same time, the third largest economy and having almost the highest population after one country, what will happen to the education and what will happen to other things, that needs to be a thought by the academic like you. And sorry. The other issue is pertaining to this online teaching learning process is that we are no more in that sacred field of imparting education. We are in a market. हम बाजार में हैं, शिक्षा के बाजार में खड़े हैं और बाजार की अपनी रवायत होती है. बाजार चीजों को अपनी तरीके से देखता है. And it is market which has capacity to steal the thunder. So the bent of mind which I'm having, that education is something very pious. I'm going to make the future of the students. There I have to understand the market realities are changing at a very faster pace. And the market has come to our bedroom. Earlier, you see, when market was confined there in a physical form, that market was having a limited timing. कि 10 बजे बाजार खुलेगा और 8 बजे बाजार बंद हो जाएगा, या 7 बजे खुलेगा और 5 बजे बंद हो जाएगा, whatsoever. पर अभी आपका बाजार आपके पॉकेट में है. अभी आपका बाजार आपके बेडरूम में है. आप रात के 12 बजे भी अपने फोन से सामान को मंगाते हैं. Actually, you have brought your market there in your bedroom. And it is not only that you are placing order, that the location and the other things what are inbuilt in your mobile phone are tracking your movements. And every bit of you, when you are pressing the button, you are accessing the website, you are making the phone call, you are sending the SMS, you are sending the email, every bit of you is being translated into a data, and through artificial intelligence, that data is given back to you in the form of auto suggestions. जब आप Gmail में अपना ईमेल टाइप कर रहे होते हैं तो आपके टेक्स्ट में सजेशंस आते हैं, आप व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेजेस टाइप कर रहे होते हैं, आपको ऑटो सजेशंस आते हैं। वो ऑटो सजेशंस अपने से नहीं आते हैं, वो आपके लिए बिल्कुल पर्सनलाइज्ड है, depending upon what kind of the phraseologies and the sentences you use and what kind of the formation of the text you make. On the basis of that, the auto suggestions are there. So this education can't remain untouched with what is happening there in the market. If this mobile phone has reached to your bedroom and market is accessible to everyone 24/7, therefore this education is also accessible to us and the students 24/7. So if I say that I will teach my students only between 11 o'clock to 11:50 and thereafter I'm not accessible, perhaps I'm not understanding the reality of the market, which we should, as we are departing from this place learning to this online learning. And apart from this, the other issues are that we are entering into a domain of managerialism and the bureaucracy of the education. Managerialism and the bureaucracy of the education. Couple of years back, we were mandated to go for LOCF courseware, learning outcome based curriculum framework. We are made to look at the quality. We are made to go for ranking. We are made to go for accreditation. We are made to go for understanding the role of the data. And for anything and everything, whatever you do, you want that some witness, some certificate should be there. That certificate, why it is required? Because this is the bureaucracy of the education, which is gradually setting in. This pain I'm sharing, being the dean of the largest faculty of Delhi University. There I find every now and then, when I'm really scared opening my mailbox in the morning. I get up in the morning, and when I open my mailbox, not less than 30 mails. And all mails, majority of them, they demand कि आज शाम को 5 बजे तक, कल 4 बजे तक, परसों 12 बजे तक ये सूचना मिल जाए। अरे भाई, मैं सूचना बनाने की फैक्ट्री नहीं हूं, लेकिन विश्वविद्यालय को इसकी सूचना चाहिए, मंत्रालय को इसकी सूचना चाहिए, किसी और एजेंसी को इसकी सूचना चाहिए, और वो सूचना जो एजेंसी है, जो पर्सन है, जो हेड कर रहा है, ज्ञानतोष जी इसके बारे में आपको बेहतर बता पाएंगे, that feels the real agony, and that goes for bearing the brunt. And all these things, what I'm talking about, I might have not been able to look at every aspect of it, but these are the realities, and in times to come, they are going to deepen further. They are going to become more and more prominent in times to come. And for that, it is required that we should look at that what strategies and the tactics as a teacher we should adopt, so that we are able to find out some foothold, and this departure from this offline and the source to online and all source, this mindset and the strategy, as you know, I'll not go into the academic part of the strategy. This is strategy what talks about that what you want to do, what you plan to do when you are made to make a departure from offline to online, and the tactics that how you plan to do. Both have to go hand in hand. And if we are not able to make a strategy for this departure, at the end of the day, we will find that we have been cheated by the developments. So in order to arrest that feeling, there is a need to make a strategy and the tactics for that. I will share my strategy. Recently, we have started our new semester. 16th of August, we started the new semester. Before the beginning of the semester, what lecture I have to deliver for the complete syllabi, I have already gone for creating my references. I have already gone for creating my assignments, which I have to give to my students. I have already gone for creating my tests, which within the classroom, I will go for giving to my students. I have already gone for all the grades through which I'll be evaluating my students. Everything is ready. One thing is lacking, which in due course of time, I'll be talking about. So the strategies and the tactics both need to be there in the place if we want to make a mark there in this online teaching learning process. And apart from the issues, there is a need to understand that paradigm is changing. And in this change paradigm, where the accessibility of information is too much, is humongous. So we are making a departure from essentialistic model of education to eclectic model of education. Essentialistic model of education is that the teacher will go for, teacher is the source of knowledge, and teacher will be using a pedantic style, is made to make students understand that what the subject is. Whereas this online teaching learning process, this is saying that no, teacher is not the source. As there is infodemics, as there is accessibility of the information, therefore it is eclecticism which should prevail, that all the teachers and the teacher and the tots together, they will go for creating a reality. So both are co-creators. Teacher is also a co-creator along with the students. And in this process, the role of learner is larger as compared to the role of learner what was there before. Why I'm saying so? That we take 2 classes together in the department. 2 classes means 110 minutes. So being there in the classroom for 110 minutes in the physical classroom, and being there in the online classroom, and they're engaging students for 110 minutes, that is really a difficult task. और आप सब जानते हैं कि ज्यादातर स्टूडेंट्स अपना वीडियो बंद करके रखते हैं, और उनकी जगह पे क्या दिखाई दे रहा होता है? एपी, बीएस, एसपी, टीबी, and you are making self celebratory monologue. You are talking to yourself. आप स्क्रीन पे जैसे अभी की स्थिति में क्या कि मैं खुद से ही बात कर रहा हूं, मैं खुद से ही बात कर रहा हूं, अपनी ही तस्वीर देख रहा हूं, अपने ही हाव भाव देख रहा हूं, और ये मान रहा हूं कि बाकी सब लोगों को तो मैं बहुत अच्छे तरीके से पहुंच रहा हूं, where the reality is different. So when we are made to make this departure, looking at the students, their reaction, and placing the interaction, and looking at the screen where only alphabets are visible. So with that, 110 minutes of my lecturing is not going to cater what education is demanding in present times. So the role of the learner, the role of the student is much larger, and the focus of learning should be moved from teacher to student. The responsibility to make students learn is not of the teacher, is of the student. And in this process, the teacher is not a pedantic teacher with all control over the class. The teacher is a facilitator. The teacher needs to act as a fielder on a cricket ground, that whenever ball will go out of the crease, the teacher will bring it back on the pitch, and so that the people, those who are engaged in that action part of the bowling and batting and the keeping, they go for deciding that how this would be taken forward. So whenever the ball goes out of the crease, out of the pitch, then the role of the teacher as a facilitator is to bring it to back, instead of कि हर बार वही बॉलिंग करेगा, हर बार वही बैटिंग करेगा, हर बार वही फील्डिंग करेगा, हर बार वही कीपिंग करेगा. And in this process, what Margaret Mead, a great educationist, used to talk about, that there are three models of teaching: the didactic model of the teaching, the meiotic model of teaching, and the facilitative model of the teaching. So didactic model of teaching, that where I go for giving the sermons, and the meiotic model where I go for engaging, making my class an interactive class. He says that there is a need to transcend this also, that you the source, you are source, and then taking it to the next level, that you don't take yourself as a source. This is, you are a facilitator. If you want to read more about this issue, then there is a good work done by Christensen, and there is a Christensen's learning center also in US. You can search the net to find out that what is contribution of the Christensen's. And Christensen has gone for publishing a co-authored book, authored along with the Sweet and the Garvin, and the title of the book is Education for Judgment. So that will help you to understand that how to make the classroom a facilitative classroom, where fundamentals are changing in terms of that the students are now participant in the discussion. They are also one of the discussants. So there is a panel where you are there this side of the screen, the others are also available on the screen, and the panelists, they are making their presence through their discussions, and whosoever is there who is able to add value. Then there is a moderator who is the facilitator, who is the teacher. That moderator goes for compiling the things, goes for putting things in a perspective, and gives back to the students. So teacher is needed to have the dual competency. One competency is that knowledge about the subject. The other competency is that what the clay speaks, what the students, the clay, they are speaking, just giving a shape to the clay so that the right kind of the pottery could be created. So it is not only the acquisition of the good information and the facts that will make a teacher successful, knowing that how to translate and how to give back the students what they have said. That I think is a need of our, when we are making departure from this offline to online. And there the student is a flexible learner. The student is a active learner. And this active learner, you see, often I used to see in my physical classroom, that given the chance, whatever is getting transacted there in the classroom, the students, they are found fiddling with their phones to check ye guruji jo keh rahe hain theek keh rahe hain ki nahi keh rahe hain. So if it was happening there in that classroom, what do you think that when you are talking it in this classroom, in this online classroom, where you are able to see only AS and SM and AA and BK, there, don't you think that the students must be checking that what this teacher is talking about? The other day, last Friday, I was taking my class, and I talked with the students about some website. और जैसे मैंने अपना सेंटेंस खत्म किया, उसके साथ ही साथ एक बच्चे ने चैट बॉक्स में उस वेबसाइट का एड्रेस डाल दिया था. This is good. I'm not saying it is bad, but that should be leveraged. And this leveraging, that should be done in a systematic way, so that I'm able to make my student understand the importance of the resources which are accessible. At the same time, they are able to get the skills what I think that are needed for them to grow. And this requires a different kind of de-skilling, re-skilling, and upskilling, both on the part of the teachers and the student. And in this online teaching mode where the teacher is made to be a facilitator, then this facilitator need not to be there in the classroom, online classroom, every time engaging students through verbosity, through verbal communication. For that, what is required? कि कुछ उसके साथ complementary resources और materials दिए जाएं forehand. पहले से उसको resources, मेरी कल की क्लास है, मेरे बच्चों के पास कल क्या पढ़ाया जाना है, वो मैंने रिसोर्स उनको दे दिया है. कल उनसे लेक्चरिंग से शुरू नहीं करूंगा मैं अपनी क्लास को, मैं उनसे क्लास से शुरू करूंगा कि तुमने पढ़ा क्या है, उसमें जो आर्टिकल तुम्हें मैंने दिया है उसमें तुम्हें दिखा क्या है, उसको किस तरीके से तुम देखते हो, बाकी लोग उसको कैसे तरीके से देखते हैं. एंड दिस हाउ दैट द प्रोसेस ऑफ transferring the ownership of the learning will be there. If I read some article, I make my notes and share the presentation with the students, then the onus of learning is there with me. But when I'm making them that you read and you come and you discuss and together you go for creating some reality, then there is a transfer of ownership of the learning. And this online teaching learning, it demands more, that the learning should be, the ownership of the learning must be transferred. If it is not transferred, then we will keep on getting ourselves burdened, that every time it is me only who would be taken as कि मैं ही सिखलाऊंगा. सिखलाने की सारी जिम्मेदारी मेरी है, सिखलाने की सारी जिम्मेदारी मेरी नहीं. मेरी जिम्मेदारी सिर्फ ये बताने की है कि तुम कैसे सीखोगे. Because if the shelf life of the skills is 5 years, then learning the skills is not important. Learning to learn how to acquire the skills is important. And for that, it is required that the students, they should be made to learn that how to create the knowledge and how to categorize the knowledge and how to present it. If I will create the knowledge and will make them that this is good and this is bad, so the first part is gone, the second part is gone, they will only be earning the skills of the presentation, which is the menial part of the entire schema of education. So there is a need to look at the regimen, the changing regimen of this online teaching learning process. And there the building blocks are 3. Balance of power, locus of attention, and instructional skills. So the balance of power in my physical classroom, it was fully with me. I'm a very traditional teacher who does not allow the students to come to the class. Once I enter in the class, I don't go for making them to go for having any kind of conversation between and among them. And I say that when you are made to speak, you speak. But that kind of the control is not there in this online classroom. At their liberty, they join, and at their liberty, they leave. Though I have developed my own mechanism how to stop them not to enter in the class once I'm there in the class. In Google Classroom, I go for changing the code of the class. So once you change the code of the class, they will not be entering the class after you want. But that is not the way of looking at it. The balance of the power, now it is more democratized, where the students, they are also having the equal source as you are having. And as there was some glitch of that voice, that the same glitch may be there at the students' end also. So that if I will be acting as the, then that the will not survive for a long. So there is a democratization of the balance of power from the teacher to many, distributed all along the class. The second is the locus of attention. That the locus of attention was that earlier it was, the good teaching was that how good a teacher is in terms of giving something new to the students. So it was the responsibility of the teacher to refer good source of material and give students that source or give them the abstraction part of that. But now that is also being democratized, that the locus of attention has changed, that it is not only, often students they ask कि सर इसमें कोई book बता दीजिए, इसमें कोई और रिसोर्स बता दीजिए। तो 2-4 बताने के बाद फिर मैं कहता हूँ कि सारी चीजें मैं बताऊंगा तो तुम क्या करोगे? तुम सिर्फ जो है इंस्टाग्राम पे जो है अपने पिक्चर्स लोड करोगे, तुम सिर्फ जो है उसमें तमाम सारे इमोजीज क्रिएट करोगे। Why don't you go for sharing with me some of your resources? If your screen time is much more than my screen time, your creativity is much more than a person who is 30 years old there in this profession. So if I have given you some resources, I have showed you the way that how resources could be extracted. Now anything and everything is accessible to you, so therefore you bring. So now they have started doing it, that they make a group, and that cluster goes for bringing some resources. Then one cluster goes for sharing with the other cluster. जो common होते हैं उसको हटा देते हैं, ऐसा ही वो तीसरे से करते हैं. So by end of the day, they are having good source of resources. And of course, some of the resources I have also not been able to read before, I have not been able to access before. This is the change there in the locus of attention. And the third, that is the instructional skills. So earlier, my instructional skill, that was the oratory. How good I am in terms of articulation of my ideas there in the class. That was deciding that how good I'm a teacher. But now it has changed, because for 110 minutes on this online classroom, I can't be engaging my students. So instructional design has undergone change. A new kind of instructional design is cropping in, and a good experience I'll share with you. Last semester, a colleague of mine called me. I have done a lot of courses, online courses, spending roughly 30,000 rupees out of my own pocket to understand that what this online teaching is. And by this time, I think I have spent not less than 500, 600 hours to know and read that what this online teaching is. So a colleague of mine, he called me. उन्होंने कहा साहब आज तो बहुत अजीब सी चीज हो गई मेरी क्लास में. हमने कहा क्या हुआ? बोला साहब मेरी क्लास में आज मैंने क्लास टेस्ट लिया तो जो बच्चे क्लास में प्रेजेंट थे वो सिर्फ 32 थे, और उन 32 बच्चों से मुझे उम्मीद थी कि 32 हमारे पास रिटर्न असाइनमेंट सबमिट होंगे, लेकिन जब असाइनमेंट आए तो 45 असाइनमेंट्स आए. तो उन लोगों ने, बच्चों ने जो है पास ऑन कर दिया उन लोगों को भी जो क्लास में नहीं थे. तो आपके पास कोई तरीका है कि ऐसी चीज को चेक किया जाए? एंड दिस वाज अ न्यू प्रॉब्लम फॉर मी, बिकॉज बिफोर दैट आई हैड नेवर गॉट एनकाउंटर्ड विद सच प्रॉब्लम. हमने कहा यार दिस इज बिग इशू. फिर मैं बैठ के थोड़ा फिडल किया 2-3-4 घंटे, कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं मिला. अगले दिन फिर मैं 3-4 घंटे फिडल किया, एंड देन आई एम एबल टू फाइंड आउट द सोल्यूशन. So now I have shared with all my colleagues. Now in my department's classroom, only tests would be submitted by the people, those who are there inside the classroom. They are not able to share वो link कुछ share नहीं कर सकते आप. And this is a very small application of the. This is the example of the changing paradigm of that instructional design. A different kind of the instructional design is coming. It is not only the oratory, it is not only exchange of the resources. And this change in the paradigm, this change in your building block, it needs 3 changing perspectives to attention to be paid upon. The first is the process perspective, the second is the person's perspective, and the third is the mindset perspective. What this process perspective is, that in this online teaching learning process, we are transcending the time, we are transcending the space. In the traditional thinking, we used to say gunatit, kalatit, and dharmatit. That was only a thought for me up till recently. But this online teaching learning process, this is making us to transcend the time and space. If this interaction is accessible to people there in US, they are in a different time zone. They are, rather, the whole US is in 3 time zones. So they are there in the different time zones. We are in a different time zone. If this recording is accessible to users later, a different space would be created. So teaching, which was earlier more synchronous, when it was happening in a place form, that teaching and learning both were happening together. And whatever Guruji has said there in the class, that was taken as the gospel truth. क्योंकि मैं तो अपनी क्लास में खुदा के भाव में जाता हूं कि मैंने जो कह दिया वो अंतिम सत्य के रूप में है. But this synchronous teaching is now being replaced or complemented by asynchronous teaching, where you do at the same time, your things are accessible to your students later. Now I have started doing that. What I was saying that I have not been able to do, that I'm gradually starting now. Whatever interaction takes place in my classroom, I record it, and that recording, with some editing, I upload it on my YouTube channel, so it is accessible to my students later. If they want to access that what happened there in the class that day or on some particular topic, they are able to access it later. So this teaching learning process, the process is more asynchronous, where teaching is happening at one time and the learning is happening at other time, and the students and the teachers together, they are not there present on the screen or off the screen simultaneously. The other thing is that we are now getting subjected to public exposure. What I was doing in my classroom, when it was a physical classroom, it was there in the department. तो वहां मैं कितनी बकवास करता था मेरे घर वालों को नहीं पता थी, पर अभी मैं जितनी ऑनलाइन क्लासेस अपने घर से लेता हूं तो मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं, ये सारी बात मेरी पत्नी को पता है. तो आपको अंदाजा होना चाहिए कि मेरी इज्जत कितनी घटी होगी पिछले 1-1.5 साल में. And it is not only the family members. If recordings are accessible online, then it is accessible to everybody. It is subjected to public scrutiny. So what is getting transacted within the confines of 4 walls and what is getting transacted without the wall, both are different, because here there is no retake. Therefore, the responsibility of the teaching learning, the process is more onerous, where the public exposure is there. And the other thing is that as you have to create a meaningful engagement there in the classroom, therefore, there need to be a departure from the unstructured teaching to a structured teaching, more formatted. Earlier, hardly I used to go in my classroom with the written notes, or since last 10 years, I had stopped using PPTs. But now when I go for my online classroom, I want to make my interaction with the students and to optimize the time. I go with a structured preparation. I go for making mental scouting before starting my class, much before starting my class, that today what I have to talk about. How actually it would be done, that also to a large extent is done, but some changes are there. So there is need to have to create a structure. The person's perspective is that days are gone where the teacher was taken as a sage on the stage. Now it is a sage on the page. So when the sage on the page, the roles and responsibilities are different. because it is less of intonation and more of annotation. यहाँ पे सस्वर पाठ करने की कम जरूरत है, भाष्य की ज्यादा आवश्यकता है, so that we are able to create some interaction and engagement with the students. And the other thing is that we are making more that symbolism prominent, less of verbalism and more of symbolism. It is not only there in our texting and the messaging, it is there in the teaching also. In texting, you know that greater expression is done by sharing the emojis, emoticons, smileys. मुझे तो उसके बारे में बहुत ज्यादा पता नहीं है कि वो दोनों आंखें एक तरफ हो तो क्या मतलब है, बीच में हो तो क्या मतलब है. मैं तो अपने बच्चों से पूछता हूँ कि अच्छा यार ये किसी ने ये भेजा है, ये पहले कभी नहीं आया, तो इसका मतलब क्या होता है वो बताओ. मैं तो जब ऐसे हाथ जोड़ने को सोचता था कि हाथ जोड़ना है, वो मेरी बेटी ने कहा कि नहीं ये तो हाई फाई है, तो उसका मतलब कुछ और है, मेरा समझने का कुछ और मतलब है. बट देयर इज अ डिपार्चर फ्रॉम दिस वर्बलिज्म टू सिंबलिज्म, and this sharing of the emoticons, smileys, emojis and the stickers, that is creating a different kind of the educational paradigm. It is not only in terms of the emojis, rather this instructional design that has to be more symbolized. So with the symbolized instructional design, the man who is having the entire training of verbalized instructional design, he has to make a complete departure, complete shift. Because if I go for only verbalized mindset, so with this fixated mindset, I may not be able to create a new meaning in the changed time and space. And for that, what is required, that I go for challenging myself. Else I will always keep on scratching the surface and not able to find out how to leverage this teaching to the screen. And apart from this, there is a need to change the mindset. This online teaching demands a different kind of mindset. Currently, I'm there in the compliance mindset of this online teaching. अनुपालन कर रहा हूं क्योंकि किसी ने कह दिया, इस नाते कर रहा हूं. और अगर किसी ने कह दिया है और मैं कर रहा हूं, so the onus, the responsibility, the accountability of that is not with me. It is something like this. Very crude example I gave, that if some dish you have to get prepared in your house, and the dish is of your choice, and ingredients are not available in the house, and you demand, and your spouse says that go and fetch these things from the market. Happily, you go to fetch those things from the market. But if that dish is not of your choice, तो आपके पास 10 बहाने होते हैं कि कल मेरा लेक्चर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, कल तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मीटिंग है, ऐसे अभी मैं अगर सामान लेने चला गया तो मैं अपनी एकेडमिक्स क्या कर पाऊंगा. So there is need to understand that this dish is mine, and if this dish is mine, तो इसको अनुपालन करने की जगह पे इसके अनुकूलन करने की आवश्यकता है. There is a need to adopt that this teaching, this online teaching, now it has become the part of my teaching regimen. Now it has become the part of my teaching life. Now it has become the part of my living, and there is a need to adopt it. There इसको अपनाने की जरूरत है. And why it is required? Because we are teaching to future ready students. We are teaching our students not a formula. We are teaching the students to create a formula. And there at times the teaching is required to be in a TED Talk form. You might have seen TED Talks. They are very focused, to the point. And on the basis of that, you go for engaging the students there in the classroom setting. और इसके लिए थोड़ा सा इस ऑनलाइन टीचिंग के एकेडमिक्स को जानने की जरूरत है। मैंने जब इसके लिटरेचर को डिग डाउन किया, तो एज आई टोल्ड यू दैट द रिसोर्सेज आर, इट इज flooded, and I found a model. That model is Rubin's model of online teaching. And Rubin says that there are 4 stages of online teaching. The first, he says, that is a substitution model of online teaching. The second, he says, is the augmentation model of online teaching. The third, he says, is the modification model of online teaching. And the fourth, he says, is the redefinition model of online teaching. What is the substitution model of online teaching, which I used to do earlier? Substitution model में ये था कि मैं आप फिजिकल क्लासरूम में नहीं जा पा रहा हूं, तो वर्चुअल क्लासरूम में मैं हूं। तो फिजिकल क्लासरूम में 110 मिनट मुझे बोलने के लिए कहा गया था, तो मैं ऑनलाइन भी 110 मिनट बोलूंगा। So in physical classroom, I was doing a different kind of, I was preparing a different kind of dish. But in this online classroom, I'm preparing a different kind of dish. When you are having your meal in a restaurant, which is there on this ground, a different kind of menu is there with you. And when you are having the same meal in a flight, then different kind of menu is given to you. वहां आप कहें कि नहीं साहब, जब तक कुकर की सीटी नहीं आएगी और वो वाली दाल नहीं बन जाएगी मैं नहीं खाऊंगा, तो शायद नहीं हो पाएगा ऐसा, because there the context and the environment is different. So this substitution is the first and weakest form of this online teaching learning process. It is not substitute. Online teaching is not substitute of offline teaching. It cannot be a substitute for offline teaching. If you are preparing Italian pizza और उसकी सीजनिंग की जगह पे सांभर का मसाला डाल देंगे या गन पाउडर डाल देंगे, तो पाउडर तो उस पे बिखरा हुआ नजर आएगा, पर वो टेस्ट नहीं होगा जो इटालियन पिज्जा का टेस्ट होता है, पर पेट तो भरेगा ही। या सांभर बनाते हुए उसमें चीज डाल दें, क्योंकि इटालियंस चीज डालते हैं, सो विल दैट सेम टेस्ट कम? विल नॉट, पर कुछ ना कुछ तो करी रहेगी। Therefore, both are having a different regimen, entirely different spices. So it is not substitute. The second is augmentation model of online teaching learning. Augmentation model of online teaching learning is that instead of me, teacher, giving to my students, I bring my students forward to speak on some given topic, some given issue. That what we call as didactic form of interaction, that we make our class interactive. Rubin says that even this is also very teacher-centric, where teacher is deciding that what would be given, who will speak, what one will speak. So substitution and augmentation are the weaker forms of this online teaching. Then he says that there is a need to go to the third stage if you want to really make a mark there in the online teaching learning process. And that is the modification stage of online teaching. That modification stage of online teaching is that let a student be there in the center. Substitution and augmentation, the teacher is there in the center. But in modification stage, keeping a student there in the center, modifying that way of interaction with the student, modifying my means for the interaction with the students. So for that, what do we do? Share the resources well in advance. Make them also to share their resources. Pool the resources. Decide that how the journey of the interaction would be there. How we are going to divide the air time. What percentage of the total available air time would be for the teacher and how much air time would be there with the students. And other modification, that I will not be only engaging my students through verbalism, that either I will speak or my students will speak, and through speaking only there would be interaction. No, other means of the interaction would also be there. As I told you, that some assignments, some quizzes, something, your two presentation, which would be there in my teaching regimen. And the fourth stage, what the Ruben speaks about, is redefining the entire gamut of this online teaching learning process. And there where I lack, which I told you earlier that I'll be sharing now, that well in advance, the shorter duration videos I will upload in my classroom or on my YouTube channel or on my wiki. Very interesting thing to share with you. Wiki का जब हम नाम लेते हैं तो क्या दिमाग में आता है? Wikipedia, open source to know anything and everything, where you can go for making your change. या फिर WikiLeaks का नाम आता है, जिसने कुछ पॉलिटिकल लोगों की और कुछ बड़े लोगों की जो है कुछ चीजों को उसने रिकॉर्ड किया था. But Wiki is a greatest source, a greatest educational resource accessible to everybody free of cost, where you can have whatever you feel like. So it is not only Wikipedia. Wiki is for you. You want to upload, accessible, there is a free space accessible to you. You want to upload your videos, do it. You want to upload your drawings, do it. You want to upload all your lectures, do it. Everything and anything you want to upload, it is accessible to you free of cost. The other important resource accessible to you is, which is known to everybody, वो है Twitter, जिसका यूज हम लोग कुछ चीजों को एस्केलेट करने के लिए यूज करते हैं या कम्युनिकेट करने के लिए कहते हैं. दैट इज वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट रिसोर्स एक्सेसिबल टू अस फॉर टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस. व्हाई? बिकॉज दिस इज अ गुड रिसोर्स फॉर मेकिंग स्टूडेंट्स टू बी वेरी क्रिस्प and maintain all brevity, because you are given only 140 letters to speak what you want to articulate. This because it is a microblogging site. And similarly, when you go for searching the net, that how to embed your online teaching learning, you will find that it is flooded. The internet consortia I have already shared with you. It is flooded with the resource, and larger resources are accessible to you free of cost. So there is a need to make a departure from substitution model of online teaching to redefinition of model of online teaching, where everything would be embedded, accessible, and your on the screen speaking air time that will get reduced very substantially. It does not mean that your efforts will be reduced. No, your efforts will be there, because that the preparation what you will need behind the curtain, that would be there. But apparently there in the classroom your time would be saved substantially, and that you can check and try. और एक और चीज ऑनलाइन टीचिंग लर्निंग में, to gradually make a departure कि जो कुछ मेरे जैसे व्यक्ति में 30 साल में जिसको मैंने आइडेंटिफाई करके कहा है कि ये मेरे टीचिंग का हिस्सा है, ये मेरे टीचिंग लर्निंग का प्रोसेस का हिस्सा है, उसका सब्स्टिट्यूट देखने की जरूरत है कि ऑनलाइन में वो क्या है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई यूज्ड टू यूज अ बोर्ड, द ब्लैक बोर्ड और ग्रीन बोर्ड. So the board is the screen. And how I will write on the screen? There is a stylus, that pen is there, which can help you to act as a chalk. I was finding in my teaching, my speaking as the greatest source for me to be there in the class. Yes, still it is there, but now me speaking physically, my videos will substitute me in the classroom. Earlier, I was finding that the resources in terms of printed books or printed articles are the sources through which I will create some engagement with my students. Yes, still it is there, but instead of that printed books, I can think in terms of e-books, e-resources, which are accessible to us through our institution, or some of them are accessible to us free of cost. For participants from Delhi University, you know that you have accessibility of your library. You can have your library accessible to your home through the remote access. You need to have your institutional ID, and you write to the librarian of Delhi University, and he will provide you a virtual private network access, and through that Delhi University's VPN, you would be able to access the resources which are accessible to us otherwise in the physical form. The other is the students groups, where I was creating a group and making students to make the presentation or to have the discussion. Is still there. There are discussion forums, there are discussion boards, there are discussion threads. Through that, I can go for creating that meaningful groups there in the classroom for undertaking some academic assignment. Then my attendance register. So now there is e-register. Earlier I was calling the roles of the students. Now the e-register goes for creating my attendance for my students. And earlier I was seeing that my students, they raise hands for speaking. Yes, that hand raising is there in this physical this online classroom also. Therefore, what I'm saying that in order to get ourselves familiarized, वो सारी चीजें जिनसे मैं अपने शिक्षक होने का जिसमें प्रतीक देख रहा था, वो सारी चीजें इस ऑनलाइन में भी उपलब्ध हैं. उसको देखने की जरूरत है और उसको अपने टीचिंग लर्निंग प्रोसेस में एम्बेड करने की जरूरत है, और ये समझने की, ये समझ पैदा करने की जरूरत है कि आज के उसमें अगर हम ऑनलाइन टीचिंग भी करेंगे और ऑफलाइन माइंडसेट भी रखेंगे तो शायद वो नहीं कर पाएंगे जिसकी हमें जरूरत है, जिसके करने की आज की आवश्यकता है. And good set of teaching resources, training resources are accessible to us free of cost. One resource is accessible to us given by Google. उस रिसोर्स का नाम है exceedlms.com. वो आपको फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट ट्रेनिंग देता है कि आपको ऑनलाइन क्लासरूम में क्या क्या करना चाहिए, क्या क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. एक और रिसोर्स है लर्निंग एप्स. अगर आप लिंक्डइन पे हैं तो एक लिंक्डइन का लर्निंग प्लेटफॉर्म है. दैट आल्सो गोज फॉर गिविंग यू अ लॉट ऑफ ट्रेनिंग दैट हाउ टू एंगेज स्टूडेंट्स देयर in this online classroom. There are good set of courses available on Coursera. मैंने तो इस प्रोसेस में जो है कुछ पैसा दे के Coursera के कोर्सेज किए, ये समझने के लिए कि ऑनलाइन टीचिंग क्या है और कैसे रिसोर्सेज को एक्सेस किया जा सकता है फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. कुछ और ऑनलाइन रिसोर्सेज आपके काम के हो सकते हैं. देयर इज वन रिसोर्स दैट इज चेक स्मिथ. techsmith.com. There is another resource that is articulate.com. So there is another resource which says the creativecommons.org. You go for searching and the net is flooded with the resources which will help you to make you a better online teacher, where you can go for creating the right kind of engagement with your students. And when you are creating this online engagement with the students, as you know that in a physical form, you would, whatever you were delivering there in the physical classroom, that used to get wiped off. But here it is available to you even for reuse. If I have delivered some talk today, and if I have a recording available, I can go for reusing it next time. I can go for making some changes, some tweaking there in my today's interaction. I can make it better. I can reflect. I can critically look at my own teaching, that how actually I am a teacher in my classroom. So these resources need to be leveraged. This style needs to be leveraged. This regimen needs to be leveraged. One, the same thing I repeat, ये dish बिल्कुल अलग तरीके की है, इसके मसाले बिल्कुल अलग हैं, इसके बनाने का तरीका बिल्कुल अलग है। तो सिर्फ कॉमन क्या है कि इसको भी खाने के बाद पेट भरेगा। अब वो पेट कैसे भरेगा, उसमें स्वाद भी आएगा कि नहीं आएगा, वो इस बात पे डिसाइड करेगा कि इसके रेजिमेन को, इसके स्पाइसेस को, इसके कुकिंग की स्टाइल को और उसके तरीके को हमने अपने आत्मसात किया कि नहीं। हैव यू स्टार्टेड लिविंग इट? And as you know that UGC has already mandated that you have to, students should be made to earn, I think, credit to the tune of 40%, जो national education policy कहती है। तो अगर online teaching से वो 40% credit earn करेगा, so you and me only would be uploading our courses there in this online mode. So even if this pandemic completely goes off, don't think that you would be coming back to the old normal. This the new regimen, that is the order of the day, and we have to respect it, and we have to go for challenging ourselves so that we are able to stand to the demand of the time, and we are able to serve not only to the academia and the humanity at large. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to share my off-the-cuff, very scattered ideas with you based on my experience and my reflections on this online teaching learning process. Thank you so much. If you have any issues, I'm here to take it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Excellent and valuable and very enriching session. Thank you for sharing your real experiences and knowledge. I'm running short of words, sir. It's always our pleasure to listen to you, sir. And it was indeed a thought-provoking session, sir.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Sir, shall we start with the question answers?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have question from Dr. Gopal Kumar. सर ने शिक्षक की जिम्मेदारी के बारे में बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण एवं अनुकरणीय बात कही कि शिक्षक की जिम्मेदारी विद्यार्थियों को सब कुछ सिखाने की नहीं है, बल्कि ये बताने की है कि विद्यार्थी कैसे सीखेंगे। लेकिन आज मैं अधिकांश विद्यार्थियों को देखता हूँ कि वे चाहते हैं कि गुरुजी ही सब कुछ बता दें। कई विद्यार्थी अपने शिक्षक से नोट्स लिखवाने के लिए जिद करते हैं। विद्यार्थियों की इस प्रवृत्ति को किस प्रकार कम किया जा सकता है?
ये सवाल किसका था डॉक्टर तुली?
डॉक्टर गोपाल कुमार।
गोपाल जी, आपके वक्तव्यों से मैं पूर्णतया सहमत हूं और उससे इत्तेफाक रखता हूं कि विद्यार्थी आपसे नोट्स लिखवाना चाहता है। मैं आपको अपना एक अनुभव बताता हूं। कुछ सालों पहले हमारे फैकल्टी में प्रथा है स्टूडेंट से फीडबैक लेने का। हर सेमेस्टर के खत्म होने से थोड़े दिनों पहले हम फीडबैक लेते हैं अपने अध्यापकों के बारे में कि उन क्या और उनमें परिवर्तन और अच्छाई और ले आई जाए। तो एक ग्रुप से मैं इंटरैक्ट कर रहा था, तो उनसे पूछ रहा था कि अच्छा ये बताओ कि तुम्हें सबसे अच्छा टीचर कौन लगता है। तो गोपाल जी, उन बच्चों ने जो है बताया कि वो फला टीचर जो है वो मैम बहुत अच्छा पढ़ाती। तो हमने कहा अच्छा क्या अच्छा पढ़ा है उनकी पढ़ाई में? बोले मैम नोट्स दे देती। आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द मास्टर्स स्टूडेंट्स। तो हमने कहा अगर किसी टीचर ने तुम्हें नोट्स दे दिया तो तुम उसे अच्छा बता रहे हो, बट द टीचर इज नॉट लेटिंग यू टू थिंक बियॉन्ड। तो उन बच्चों को ज्यादा मेरी बात समझ में नहीं आई, पर उन्होंने ज्यादा मेरे से बहस नहीं किया और वो चले गए। उनका क्लास उनका कोर्स खत्म हो गया। आफ्टर 3 years, one of the students of that class that came to me. Currently, she is teaching in one of the colleges of Delhi University. और उसने कहा कि सर, जो आपने उस दिन एमकॉम के ट्यूटोरियल में जो हमसे फीडबैक लिया था और उस पे आपने हमें बहुत ज्ञान दिया था कि अगर कोई क्लास नोट्स आपको दे देता है तो उसकी उपयोगिता और उपादेयता आपके जीवन में, आपके शैक्षणिक जीवन में बहुत कम है। उस समय आपकी बात हमें समझ में नहीं आई थी। But now as I'm made to teach, now I'm realizing that if I will give anything and everything to my students in the form of notes, then actually we are crippling them. We are making them not to think beyond. और गोपाल जी, ये जो मैंने आपको बीच में एक रिसोर्स बताया था vforum.org, वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक forum.org, उसके वेबसाइट पे जाइए। उसमें पहला जो स्किल आज के तारीख में रिक्वायर्ड है स्टूडेंट्स में है वो क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग। And if we are not able to build that element of the criticality and lock, stock and the barrel, if the knowledge would be transmitted and it would be implanted, so I think the students they would be lacking in some skills. उसको समझने उसकी समझ स्टूडेंट्स में आप कैसे पैदा करेंगे, ये आप अपने स्टूडेंट्स के साथ कैसे सिचुएट करेंगे, दैट यू नो बेटर. But as a person who is looking at things from the helicopter perspective, there, if the criticality is not built, so students will be somewhere they would be lacking, and if that criticality would be built, they automatically will learn how to refer the books and the other materials and to create the notes.
Thank you so much, sir. So next question we have from Dr. Shanti Bhushan. Sir, don't you think online teaching gives either less importance or over importance to body language?
शांति भूषण जी, बिल्कुल आप ठीक कह रहे हैं कि हर सिस्टम में अपनी अच्छाइयाँ और अपनी बुराइयाँ हैं, और बॉडी लैंग्वेज का जितना ऑनलाइन टीचिंग में महत्व है उससे मेरे ख्याल से कहीं ज़्यादा ऑफलाइन टीचिंग में महत्व है। क्योंकि यहाँ तो जैसे आपने अपना मोबाइल स्विच ऑफ कर दिया या मैं भी अपना ये वीडियो मोबाइल यानी कि कैमरा ऑफ कर दूँ, तो मैं इसके पीछे क्या खा रहा हूँ या क्या पी रहा हूँ या क्या पहने हुए हूँ या कैसे बोल रहा हूँ, उस शायद अगर आपको दिखे नहीं तो उसका उतना असर नहीं पड़ेगा। So this body language, this not only this online teaching, it is as important in the offline teaching, and this will remain important in every walk of life. कि आपने कहा क्या और कहा कैसे। वो किसी का शेर है कि दे के खत देखता है नामावर, कुछ तो पैगामे जुबानी और है। लिखा कुछ और है इबारत में, जुबान से कुछ और कह रहा है। तो जो उसकी निगाहें और जो जुबान कहना चाहती है वो हमेशा इंपॉर्टेंट रहेगा। द बॉडी लैंग्वेज, आई थिंक दैट विल रिमेन इंपॉर्टेंट एवरी टाइम।
Thank you, sir. Sir, apart from questions, we have so many appreciation messages also. And the last question, sir, last question we have from Shikha Srivastava. Sir, you share about Christensen's model. Please share the results once more to study, as I'm not getting anywhere.
It is not Christensen's model, it is Christensen's work. There is three authors. So that book I told that the Education for Judgment. There are three authors: Christensen, Garvin, and Sweet. You search Shikha on the net, Education for Judgment. I told you that there is a Christensen Center, which is there in US. That Christensen Center that goes for taking forward the work of Christensen, who has contributed a lot in the field of education and making education more student-centric, more participant-centric. Christensen, the book which I told you is Education for Judgment by Christensen, Garvin, and Sweet, three authors.
Thanks a lot, sir. We are done with the questions also, as so many appreciations are coming on.
Thank
So,
you.
sir,
Thanks everyone. Shukriya. Sabko धन्यवाद.
Sir, thank you so much for your valuable session. On behalf of ARSD College, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Speaker, Professor Reetesh Kumar Singh, who graced us with his presence and took out valuable time out of his busy schedule. I would like to express deep sense of appreciation to Professor Singh for sharing his knowledge, real experiences on online teaching process. Sir highlighted the 6 aspects in the field of technology and digitalization of education: issues, changing paradigm, fundamentals, building blocks, assumptions, visualization, and basics in online teaching process. Apart from this, real examples of like Reliance, Steel, Railway, Deloitte, and World Economic Forums are discussed. He enlightened the participants about the importance of technology. It is present everywhere, and how technology is controlling our behavior. Sir also introduced the concept of human cloud, managerialism and bureaucracy of education, strategies and tactics for the departure from offline to online mode, role of teacher as a facilitator, art of de-skilling, reskilling, and upskilling. Learning to acquire the skill is important, and how synchronous teaching is replaced by asynchronous. Rubin's model of online teaching is also explained by Sir. There is need to change the mindset and to adopt the current teaching. Sir, your suggestions, ideas, views are really valuable for us, and you are really a gem of a person. Once again, thank you, sir, for such an excellent and valuable session. We are really inspired by your great words. I also wish to express my gratitude to our respected principal, sir, Professor Gyantosh Kumar Jha, who always been a guiding force and motivation behind all the successful events, Dr. Vinita Tuli, convener of the program, Dr. Anjali Gupta, co-convener, and all the members of the organizing team. And a very big thanks to all the participants for being a part of this refresher course. Have a wonderful day. Namaskar, sir.
नमस्कार. Thank you so much. सभी जितने भी प्रतिभागी बंधु हैं उनको मैं हार्दिक नमस्कार करता हूं. धन्यवाद. शुक्रिया. Thanks so much. Thanks.